Hey, this is Bryan. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at kiesmotorsports.com. Today, we're going to show you how to install an NBT EVO with ID6, a touch iDrive controller, a touch screen, and wireless Apple CarPlay on my BMW F30. As you'd expect, the first part of this process is to disconnect the negative battery terminal with a 10mm. So all you need to do is loosen that up, pull it off, and set it to the side. Then what I like to do is I like to take a microfiber towel, loop it through here, and just tie it. So if anybody accidentally shuts the trunk, we won't get locked out. Now what we're going to do is we are going to use a bunch of brand new microfiber towels, and we are going to cover some of the trim here. We're going to be working on pulling the old head unit out of the car. We want to make sure that nothing is going to get scratched, especially since we have a lot of carbon in this car. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our trim tool, you insert it up here and just very carefully pry down. Then I like to just remove this light completely, then set this piece in a safe place. Then what I like to do is remove this top piece of trim. Okay, so just carefully pull this out just like that. And then for this, what I like to do is press from behind, and then you'll be able to disconnect that switch. And then there's just one other connection back here, and then you can set this out of the way. Then what you can do is take a T20, and we're going to remove these 4 screws that secure the faceplate in place. Then what you can do is carefully remove this, and there's a connection right in here. Simply remove that and set this in a safe place. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to remove the 4 T20s that secure my CIC unit in place. So let's remove these. Then while we're here, continue to remove the 2 screws that hold in the screen. There's one up here and one over here. Now what I like to do is just gently pull the head unit out, set this down like that, and it's going to give us some slack to our video cable. Just gently pull this up like this, and then on the back here you will see a little tab right there. Now these are typically pretty tight, but just press in that tab and wiggle that off just like that, and we can set this in a safe place. Now what we're going to do is we are going to remove all of the connections in the back of our head unit here. I like to start with the quad lock, which is this one right there. Just release this lever, pull it up, and that'll just slide out like that. Disconnect this connection over here, and continue to remove these. So for these, you lift up, you press on the white tab, and then that'll slide off. Same thing, lift up, press on the white tab, and then that'll slide off. And these just have that little tab on the side, and these ones are always really tight, but just keep working at them and you'll get it. All right, great. Then you can set this to the side. Now we need to remove this piece of trim right here. I like to just grab the front, pull it up, and then just carefully release the back. There's one connection under here, so just connect that. And then there are 3 of these T20s. So take your T20, and you can very carefully just release all of these screws. And then once those screws are out, this will simply just pull right out just like that. Now what we need to do is we need to remove this piece of trim so that we can remove this entire piece of trim. So to do so, what I like to do is just move the shifter over a little bit, and then just very carefully with a plastic trim tool, pry this up, set this out of the way. And then in your car, you should have a screw here and a screw here, but for whatever reason, I don't have those in my car. So if you have those, you can remove those. You need to just gently pry up on this piece of trim over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pry up on the side, and I'll show you what that looks like. Basically, there are these 2 latches on the side. You just press these tabs, and then this entire piece will come up. And this time we can disconnect that, set it out of the way. Then we can see a hidden T20. So at this time, you can remove this screw. We'll remove that. Then what we can do is just very carefully lift this entire piece out. Now there's going to be two other connections. There's this one up here, and then there's the 12 volt below. Once those are disconnected, you can take this piece out and set it to the side. Then what you can do is remove this little tray where your USB is, and just press down on this tab, remove it just like that. And we can also disconnect our aux input right there, and we'll just set that to the side. Now with my old CIC unit out, we can install the new NBT EVO. Now the installation that we're doing today is the most complicated, so if you're going from an NBT, if you have maybe a 2014 or newer, you don't have to do a lot of this. This is kind of the worst case scenario. So the cool thing about BimmerTech, what they do is they give us this nice plug and play wiring harness. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by releasing this optic cable right here from our quad lock. So to do so, you release this little tab, and this will come out with relative ease. Then what you can do is take our optic cable. We're going to put it in the end slot, put it right side up, so that it clicks into place just like that. Then with the factory end of our quad lock, we are going to install it into our new plug and play harness. Just put it in and close the lever like that, and everything will fall into place with ease. Then we can take the other end of our plug and play harness, just carefully slide this in just like that, pull the lever up until it locks into place. Okay, then what we need to do is we need to take this is the OABR connection, and this is going to go underneath. It is a little bit tricky to see, but you just clip it in right down there. Next, what we need to do is we need to run a new USB cable to our armrest right here. Now with an NBT EVO, it only uses the one USB, where on my CIC I had one here, and I also had one in my glove box. So what I like to do is just reach this back here, and then route it down here, and you shouldn't need any kind of wire feeders or anything. So here we can see the connection. You just want to make sure that you have everything behind the plastic, because everything's going to be reinstalled. You don't accidentally want to go from here to here or whatnot. So then what you can do, it's nice that this is nice and open, continue to route this cable all the way through here. Okay. Here we go. Here's our new connection for our USB spot. So I'm just going to plug this in. Then while we're here, take your aux jack. You can plug that in. Now before you actually press this in for good and make sure everything is nice and secure, you're going to want to secure this cable because you don't want it bouncing around. So we're going to take care of that after we get some more of this settled. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to plug in our Bluetooth and our Wi-Fi antennas. So the Bluetooth one is this one right there, and then this is the Wi-Fi signal. So all you need to do is just take these, just clip it into place like that. And again, you just clip it into place just like that. Now with these can actually sit behind the head unit, and there's no problem with reception or anything. Some people like to run them into the pillar. It's completely up to you. My phone tends to be more in this area right here, so I want to have it as close to my phone as possible, so that's why we're going to be routing it behind. Then if you haven't done so already, take your new USB cable and plug that in. The cool thing about BMW is most of these, the colors are going to line up perfectly, so it makes it nice and easy. Speaking of colors that line up perfectly, you're going to take your FM antenna and you're going to plug that in over here. So just take the black one, just press that in place until you hear it click, just like that. And then it's very important to connect this blue one to the corner over here, because this is for your navigation. Now with the NBT EVO, it has what's called FM1 and FM2, so we're going to need to install a new aerial amplifier, which is going to go in the back, which is going to be fun because we have a roll cage. So what you need to do is you need to take this extension cable, looks like this, it's not going to be color coordinated. You're going to plug one end on here, and then what we need to do is we need to route this cable all the way back above the rear windshield where my reverse light is, and that's where we're going to need to put this new aerial amplifier in. So at this time, let's take care of that. Now what we need to do is we need to get this cable to the back of the car. So what I like to do, I like to remove the trim. Just pull up here, set this piece out of the way, then take a wire feeder. I always like to bend the end of the metal, put some electrical tape on it, make sure it's not going to pinch anything. Okay, so once your wire is all the way through, I'm just going to put a little piece of electrical tape on here, just like that. And then I'm going to pull this wire through. So we'll just carefully pull this through. Just like that. Then you can untape the end. Now what we're going to do is we are going to route this along the weather stripping all the way to the back of the car. So to do this, you want to make sure that you don't just start over here. You want to actually go around just to make sure that there's no pinched wires or anything. So as you can see, we can put our piece of trim back and nothing will be affected. And then what you can do is you can start to just route this wire all the way up and over here. And then just be very careful where it says airbag. You never want to put this over an airbag because if it has to deploy, it's going to hinder it. So you never want to do that. So we'll just go along here and just very carefully tuck it into this gap over here. And then just continue routing it under the weather stripping. Okay, just continue routing it back this way. So like I was saying, going from CIC is worst case scenario. A roll cage in the back, worst case possible. Now what we need to do is release the clips that hold this in. And then there's a connection right there for the brake light. We can set this piece of trim out of the way. And we need to remove the old aerial antenna. Now you have to be super careful because this is ribbon and this is attached to the rear windshield. So just very carefully remove this plug. Again, be super careful because it's attached to the back windshield. Then what you need to do is remove this connection over here. Again, you just press on this little tab and that should slide right off. And then you're not gonna be able to see it. But there's a connection on the other side. It's really tight and it just has one little skinny wire. So again, be super careful not to break that. And then there is a T25 and it's kind of like built into this piece. So you're not going to be able to fully remove the screw. But once you unscrew it, this will lower down. And you can take this and set it out of the way so you can see what I mean about the screw. It's kind of in the plastic, so it's not something that you would typically replace. Then you take your new antenna. There's this little notch that goes into this groove in the roof. You screw this in. Then you can take this connection. This is going to go on the black one. Just like that. And you can take this connection, it's going to go just right there. And then finish running your wire in this connection. It's going to go right on here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this extra wire And I will coil it up nice. I'll wrap it up with some electrical tape. Then what I'm going to do is I'm applying double-sided molding tape. I'm going to stick it up here to make sure that nothing is going to be rattling around. Now, to make sure that this guy isn't going to be rattling around, I just have some 3M tape we're going to put on there. Then you can reconnect your light. This is kind of a feel thing, just because of where, like, just the cord is so short, you have nothing to work with. And then just take this and then just press it back into place, and we're done back here. Next, while we're towards the back of the car, might as well finish out back here. This is your comm box. If you have a CIC, we are going to need to disconnect all of the connections on here. So we have this one, we have our optic cable. Now, once you disconnect the optic cable, there's this little jumper. And then what you need to do is just take the jumper and install it on your optic cable, just like that. And then what we're going to do is just continue to disconnect all of these other connections. Okay, just like that. And if you'd like to, what you can do is you can wrap these up with some electrical tape, maybe some mounting tape, and just secure them down and out of the way so they're not rattling around. Now, stemming off of your main wiring harness, you're going to have two other connections. You're going to have this set right here where there's 3 plugs, and on the other one there's just a single connection. What we need to do is we need to route this all the way up to our microphone. So we're going to do it the exact same way we routed a wire that way. We're going to go behind the cluster. So I've already removed the piece of trim over here, and I've already fed my wire feeder through. All right, so remember, when you're feeding wires, you never want to go in front of the plastic. You always want to go behind. So I'm going to just electrical tape this to my wire feeder. I'll just very carefully pull it through, just like that. So once you have your wire through, you're going to want to loop it around again. Once again, the reason is just so that everything stays back there. Then what we're going to do, as we did before, is run it up here, just like that. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get to our microphone. So you pull out the microphone, just like that. Then you can disconnect the connection. Now, to make it easier for you to see what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pull this weather stripping off even more so. And basically what we need to do is we need to just bend the headliner ever so slightly so that we can get our cable through here, just like that. So then take your new cable, plug it into your microphone just like that. You can take your old wire, route that up, and it slides to the passenger side and then clips in just like that. Then you can take your weather stripping, put that back in place, and just continue to hide your wire in here just like that. Okay. Now you're going to need to take the harness that looks like this, and same thing that we did before, we need to route it in a way that we can get this through here. Okay, so just carefully route your wires down through here, and this should keep everything out of the way. once again, what I did right there, it's a lot easier to get this little skinny piece of wire through, so I typically like to loop it, get it through where I need, and then you can pull the rest of the harness through. So let's actually do that again while we're talking about it. We're going to go under here. Just like that. We'll pull the rest of this wire through. Okay, just like that. Then what you can do is grab your touch control module, put a little piece of 3M tape on the back. We'll plug it in like so, and then just route it. I like to route mine just right here because it's going to be out of the way when we install our touch controller. Now what we can do is we can take our touch iDrive controller and we can install it into the trim. So it just uses those same 3 screw locations. And again, these are all T20s. Then before we can reinstall that, we just need to take our factory cable and then plug it into our plug and play harness, just like that. Then take that last connection and that plugs in right there. Now before I can go and reinstall this, there are some other trim components that I need to install, and I need to hide some of these wires a little bit better. So there's just one last thing we need to do before we can really start to tidy up everything, and that is install the screen. So for this, what you want to do is look at your cable and figure out which one needs to be at the top and which one needs to be at the bottom. So I know this needs to go towards the top, so I can just carefully route it through here. And then up this way, and that should be good there. Then what I can do is I can plug that in. Then I can press my screen back into place. Then you can reinstall those 2 T20 screws that hold that in place. Then what you can do is plug this in. Again, just match up the colors and we're good. So at this point, everything is physically installed, but as you can see, we have wires everywhere. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to wrap up some of these wires, clean it up, and then we'll finish the installation. So at this point, all of our wires are tidied up and we just gently press that into place. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to secure it with 2 T20s. We can take this piece. Again, you're going to need to redo 2 of these connections. Be very careful when putting it in here. So there's our 12 volt. We have our other sensor right there. Then you can just navigate this back down and clip everything back into place. Now I didn't have a screw here before, but I have an extra screw, so I'm gonna just put one in to secure this down. Then we can redo this screw. Once that's installed, you can connect that back in there. This piece will clip into place. You put the little piece of aluminum trim around it. And you line up this piece and just clip it into place. Just like that. Then at this point, you can take the gear surround trim, clip that in. Then you can take this piece, line everything up, press it into place. Wow. This is amazing. I'm so looking forward to this. I feel like having this iDrive controller is a complete game changer by itself, in addition to the touch screen, which I am super excited for. So let's get this installed so we can coat it. Okay, now we can connect the faceplate. Plug that in just like that. Okay. Then reinstall the 4 T20s that we removed earlier. Okay, then what we can do is reinstall our top trim here. Take our hazard button, plug that back in, press that into place. I'm going to slide my light back into place here, clip that up, and then at this point, if you have anything else disassembled, like we had some side pieces removed and weather stripping down, you can reinstall those at this time. So at this point in the process, everything is fully installed, but we do have to have the car coated. So let's turn it on, check out the features, have it coated, and then show you the final product. All right, so once again, the car has not been coated yet, but typically the NBT EVO will still work. What we do is we pre-code some of the things. We just have to do a final sync up with your car. So as you can see, we already have the new interface. We just need to do some final coding and we will be all set, which is super exciting. Now, although everything is fully installed and it looks amazing, it's not fully functional yet. We need to sync it up with the rest of the car now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have the car coated. Now with our NBT EVO packages, we do offer the coating service as well as a remote service. So it's included in that package deal, and more information on that at kiesmotorsports.com. We'll have links in the description below. So right now we're going to have our technician code the car, and then we'll check back at the end. We'll show you Carplay and touch and all of that. So at this point, everything is fully installed and fully coded, and man, this thing is amazing. So once again, this is the touch screen. So as you can see, I can go through the menus by just swiping over. If I want to activate CarPlay, I can just hit over here and check that out. Even apps like Waze, I just touch it and it opens up just like my phone. It is absolutely incredible to use. Let's just hit the menu button and we'll just go through some of the menus. So the cool thing about ID6 is it has these large squares, as you can see here. Now, if you don't like the way that they're laid out, there's a little button up here, and maybe I like navigation to be first. You can quickly sort them around, which is amazing. So navigation, as you'd expect, is navigation. Nothing too crazy to see there. You can also have media and radio. So this is where you're going to find your FM, your AM. CarPlay is in here. If you want to use a CD, feel free to. I don't know how much longer CDs are going to be around for though. You also have communication. So and this is going to give you all of your data on your phone. You can see my phone is called boot mode for boot mode. It also tells you the date up here, which is pretty cool. Connected drive, I don't have this activated right now, but if you had connected drive in your car, you can use that. Typically with a lot of retrofits, you're not going to be able to use connected drive. You also have things like My Vehicle, which is where you find all your settings, you know, your vehicle settings, your iDrive settings, driver profiles, your vehicle status, if anything's wrong, all that kind of thing. A lot of this you're gonna have, even if you have a CIC, and then also things like notifications, which is pretty cool. Now, one of my favorite things about the NBT EVO is the touch iDrive controller. So when you do have to do things like enter addresses, you don't have to just keep spinning around. All you need to do is just draw with your finger, like I can draw an R. You can see it registered.
A, B, U.
So as you can see, everything I just drew, it came up on the screen, which is amazing, and it's a huge time saver because otherwise you're spinning, and just trying to type in what you want, especially if you have a long address. It can be a huge pain in the butt. This is touch. This is touch. It has full screen CarPlay. It is just a phenomenal system, and really, this just makes the car feel like it's a 2018 instead of a 2013. So if you plan on keeping your car for a long time, so this is already a 2013. Normally I get rid of cars after about 2 years, but I really like this car and I've done a lot to it. So I do want to hang on to it for a little while. So the cool thing is I can have the latest tech off of the latest BMWs. This is what they're putting in the new Supra. And I'm able to have it in a 2013. I think that's absolutely incredible, especially with the touchscreen, CarPlay. I am just super excited. This is dope. I know it's not the cheapest mod, but this is by far one of the best mods that I have done to this car. And yeah, it's awesome. So once again, my name is Brian. Thanks so much for watching Kies Motorsports. If you're interested in doing this to your car, we have links down in the description. We also have it available at kiesmotorsports.com. If you haven't done so already, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at kiesmotorsports.com. Once again, my name is Brian. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.